As somebody who spends half the year sat in front of a screen at my desk and the other half of the year on my feet, walking around the city all day, every day, I guess I'm acutely aware of the way in which our movement, the way in which our lifestyle, whether sedentary or active, can affect not only our mood and our disposition, but also our charisma as well. Working in this new way for the last couple of years and switching from one extreme to the next every few months, I've really noticed how my own disposition is affected dramatically by the number of hours I spend in front of a screen, and how these working rhythms and routines can have major effects on the way that other people perceive us as well. Having been somebody who labelled themselves an extrovert for many years, I found that this new way of working was turning me into a very reclusive introvert. I noticed that I was less inclined to go out and felt that social interaction required significantly more effort if I had been spending the previous few weeks working from home. And I guess as we emerge into this new era in which flexible working conditions, working from home, are seen as the mark of a civilization who has succeeded. We no longer have to commute to the office. We no longer have to go to offices that we don't want to be in because we can work at home. It's not all progress on this front. I think we're taking a huge step back, and actually it's going to have a big epidemic effect on the charisma, sociability, and behavioural qualities of human beings going forward. I notice even within my circle of students who I see on a daily basis, those who work from home, those who have remote jobs or are able to do their work without going into the office, they are naturally more reclusive. They are less willing to try out new things. They are more hesitant to express themselves. Those people who are surrounded by others and who have a standing desk, say for example, in an office environment, they're more energized, they're more active, they're more willing to make a fool of themselves. And this really boils down to what I call embodiment. The act of embodiment is not only being physically active and healthy, it's about being acutely aware of yourself in every present moment. And what I've noticed is that the more embodied you are, the more you interact with your physicality, with your range of motion, the more expressive you become. It has this compounding effect where if you are standing upright, physically active, moving around, your gestures create this kind of windmill propulsion that enables you to create this more salient state. And when you're salient, you are dominant in your perceptions. You stand by your convictions, and this manifests itself in a confidence and an energy that other people find very attractive. The problem today is that when we see somebody on stage who is charismatic, who is open and expressive, we label them as an extrovert, and we tell ourselves that if we do not perceive ourselves in the same way, there's no way we could do anything like that. And I believe that that is a real problem, and it's a myth that needs to be dispelled. And so what I encourage students to do, what I encourage everybody to do, and what I encourage myself to do most importantly, as I become more and more aware of it, is to practice a more embodied state as a daily discipline, as an act that I can take control over, even if I do have to work in front of the screen all day. And so there are 4 things I'd recommend for people who want to learn more about how they can become better embodied, more aware of their self and their physicality, and how they can use this to generate the kind of charisma that they've always dreamt of having. So the first of these 4 exercises is simple. Stand on one leg every day for a minute. Except there's one caveat. You've got to do this with your eyes closed. Now, balancing is a key indicator of longevity and morbidity. In older people, it's something that doctors test to see how likely somebody is to survive a fall or a knock. But we don't think it's very important when we're younger. And actually, if you try this, if you try and stand on one foot now, just for 1 minute, with your eyes closed, you'll notice it's not as easy as it sounds. But as a daily practice, you become acutely aware of your muscle groups and how you calibrate your balance and how you create structure and stability in your frame, even when you don't have 100% visibility. The second thing I'd recommend is for people to practice walking backwards, not metaphorically, but in a literal sense. And this is something I learned about when I discovered primal movement and how to increase my range of motion, how to become a little bit more flexible, is that walking backwards is the gateway in order to access what seems like a very acrobatic and extreme world of physical dexterity. If you practice walking backwards for just 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, find a strip of land where it's safe to do so, maybe a park, you'll notice that as you walk backwards, you're activating all these muscle groups that you've completely forgotten had existed. And with this range of motion comes ease, and with ease comes comfort, and with comfort comes confidence. So try this and see how it affects your range of motion and therefore your mood. The third thing I'd recommend is to practice standing. If you have a desk at home where you do your work, whether in the office or from the home environment, practice standing for a few hours a day. Get a standing desk, find a way to make it work. You will notice how it uplifts your mood, how the increased ability to be physical and expressive and to gesticulate lifts your spirits and thereby those around you. And the fourth thing I would recommend outside of the working day is to learn to dance. Dancing is something that is terrifying to anybody who considers themselves a little bit more introverted or self-conscious. But it's one of the best things that you can do to practice the skill of embodiment. It's not just about rhythm and range of motion and pace and tempo and coordination. It's also about the physical, tactile act of touch. And touch is something that humans need and we've kind of forgotten about in recent years. The ability to connect with somebody through touch and to allow the flood of neurochemicals that encourages enables you to become more acutely aware of yourself, how you hold yourself, and how you interact with other people around you. And this is one of the core tenets of embodiment. And if you do one of these four things, you will start to notice the possibility. And if you start to do a couple of them, you will notice that this bleeds into other areas of your life and allows you to become not only more confident in yourself, but also more expressive, articulate, and therefore more charismatic.